know what I mean?
Yeah, I was gonna say, MKSA, and student teacher, the design consultation.
Yes.
I'm in touch with the guys in the auditor's office, and so did my daughter.
Yeah.
And they got back with me right away, so they paid good for 10 years, whatever.
Heard about 9 o'clock, ran out of fire grounds yesterday.
They ran out of patience too. Yeah, they ran out of firegrounds completely. Told me one time she just forgot I was out there. I was like, okay.
We went to fire at 23, to a work fire at, or Fourth Park, ran it all the way out to 23 yesterday, so that's the first time I've ever, in my short career, seen it go to B-Bank.
Well, they give the evens to Middletown, Westchester, and they get the evens. So the rest of the county gets the odds. So Westchester's got them, and then Middletown's got them. So yeah, it was something. Long night last night.
We went to storm plan real quick.
Yeah, we went to store plan, which was me and Chief out doing damage assessments all night.
Okay. 7.
All right, yeah, all right.
Okay.
Pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Call to order. Lenore, do you want to do roll call?
Sandy,
Here.
Mike,
Here.
Connie,
Here.
Amy,
Here.
Jake,
Here.
Tim,
Here.
and Joe.
Motion to approve the minutes as they read from last meeting.
Yep.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Guess there's no public comments today.
Hope we didn't come.
Yeah.
Here, here.
Okay.
I don't-
So, new business, Strawberry Festival review?
Yeah, we don't have any old business to discuss, right?
I think so.
Okay. Everybody thought of, I looked through the minutes, I didn't really see anything that pertained. Okay. So Strawberry Festival review.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Thought it was a job well done. Thought to get out there in the community and engage was good, and had some people stop and ask questions and fill out surveys, and I think we all had a chance to talk with people and answer questions, and it was a good experience. How many surveys did we have filled out by hand?
We had 25.
25 filled out by hand.
And Dale will get in touch with us about putting that information into Excel.
Okay. And so that's in addition to, we're just under 200.
I think 197.
Okay. Great. Great. We broke the 200 mark.
Yep.
That's good.
Which is more than Dale, it's about what Dale got for land use planning. So you're right on the average of what this community seems to participate out of 5,600 residents.
Yeah.
I did have one person that I talked to thought we were talking about Governor Bebb,
Oh.
and they were all upset. I thought that was all, a done deal, and she was telling me where she lived, and I'm like, no. This is behind the administration building. This is not Governor Bebb.
Yeah.
So just to make everybody aware, if somebody starts talking about, well, I thought this was all dead, they're talking about Governor Bebb. They're not talking about our park.
Yeah.
So I clarified and showed her the plans, and she did a survey. So
Okay.
just a little FYI.
Okay, appreciate that.
Did anybody have any, thanks Connie, did anybody else have any feedback from anybody that might be of interest to share with everybody?
I had quite a few express interest in a dog park.
Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty, I was asked quite a bit on Saturday morning, the early shift,
Okay.
so.
I had a couple people ask about that too.
Yeah.
That's something to discuss. I don't know
Yeah.
feasibility, but
But looking at the surveys, I didn't see where anybody really put that in there, did they?
I saw a few,
yeah,
but not,
there's not many.
yeah, not anything significant. I mean, I read briefs through some of the comments. A few of them said, be nice to have a place to take a dog, or a dog park close to home, or a lot of the comments in relation to the dog park were we go to other dog parks. Yeah. But, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean they want one here.
Yeah.
In the case that those people mentioned that, did they fill out a survey too?
Well, that
And
was the
might they
next
did-
thing I said. I said, well, you know, if you haven't filled out the survey,
Yeah.
you know, we've got some papers here, or use the QR code, or get on the Morgan Township webpage and fill that out and put that information in there, so that's what I followed up with.
Yeah, hopefully they filled out a survey, and if that was important to them, they included that on there.
And just for your all's information, the township, the trustees last night approved renewing the Survey Monkey application for another year, so it will still be available for your use.
Oh,
Okay.
very good, thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't get any negative comments during our
I didn't either.
work. I mean, yeah, I feel most people are pretty good to hide behind
Yeah.
the internet for the negatives, so whatever.
Yeah.
I think we had one person that asked, is this gonna come out of my tax dollars? And we're like, no, it's all gonna be funded, you
Well,
know, through donations or grants or fundraising, so.
Yep.
We only had one person,
Okay. I'd call that good.
yeah.
So I take it you want to keep the survey open?
I think it'd be a good idea.
Yeah, for now,
Okay.
yeah,
No worries.
yeah.
It's a nice, easy collection point for anything, really, you know? If you got comments, just put it in the survey, that way we have it written down, everybody can review it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk to Dale about how to take those comments and put them into Excel too.
Yeah.
You have some separate files to make it easier to sort through. Okay, so survey next steps. Anybody have something to change or add or?
Well,
I
just-
think it'd be hard to change at this point. I mean, it's
Yeah, I don't
locked
think
in,
you-
so.
Maybe, I mean, I see you're doing a lot of work with playground. Maybe we should have, you know, how would you prioritize the phases?
Yeah,
Trail, playground, pickleball court, you know, whatever.
yeah.
Maybe have them prioritize what they think is most important.
Yeah, I think we'll have another survey once we get things going a little bit more and do like what types of things people might want in the end and phasing and for sure. So yeah, the playground thing, it just kind of happened with
Yeah.
Playground Equipment Services. And Rob Tebby with them, he just wanted to give us a proposal. I didn't really even ask for one. Mike was there.
Yeah.
He just volunteered basically to do that, so that's why we have one from them. And as I told Amy, I'm trying to talk with other people too about getting other proposals or just interest or try to figure out what we should do, next steps. It's like if you haven't been to a playground, here's these two services. Or you have Port in Place or what's this, Turf. And they're both pretty good, about the same money. Just depends on what you might
Okay.
want.
So this is two different options. I was like the floor
Yeah.
itself is $280,000.
Yeah,
Jeez,
that's
Pete.
That's Turf though,
precisely,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that's one or the other. I gotcha.
Yeah, it's literally just to get an idea of what
Yeah.
things cost
Okay.
and what it might look like. And I told him that too, like, I don't think this is feasible for us. And he was like, just look at it and see what you think, so. Cause yeah, like the colors and the fish, yeah. I'm not gonna get too much into my opinion,
But the options are in addition to the 182.
yeah, these, that's just for these options and they're, pretty specific. Trying to have something that's pretty inclusive. Like, I don't know if we'd want a zip line, for instance.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of things to it's just talking points.
sure.
Yeah, it looks like he's got different age groups. So you've got like your 2 to 5 and then 5 to 12, all kind of mixed in together. And like an area for someone in a wheelchair to be with their friends, and not really seeing a whole lot of ramps anywhere, which is something I mentioned to him, might be good for kids in wheelchairs. So I mean, just things to look at and think about, and
Now, can any of the playground equipment stuff be done in phases also?
yeah,
Like
I
maybe
would
start
think
with
so.
the basics and then,
Yeah,
you
I would
know,
think
gradually add more
Mhm.
in each area or something,
so.
maybe?
Yeah, I would totally think so, and I'll talk to Rob, Tebby, and whoever else we're in discussion with about phases and more specific information for sure. Yeah, it's just kind of like, what might you want in the park? Do you want musical things, or, I don't know, there's just so much you can do. You can, like, Playground Equipment Services has adult equipment too, so if you wanted like exercise equipment that's outdoor, they can do that. Pretty much you name it, they can do it. Obviously, funding's an issue. That's something to talk about and discuss, I think, with the public too, like what they might want.
Okay, well, it's a good reference point, good starting
Yeah,
point.
I think it's a lot to take in, for sure. And I know there was, like, a natural playground was brought up several times in comments. And Justin, of course, couldn't make it. He said that, I guess, Huffman Park in Fairfield has, like, a natural playground, and it's in disrepair at present. I don't think that's very old, so that might be something to take into consideration, like what that means.
What's a natural playground?
It uses like logs and more natural
Oh,
elements
okay.
versus these manufactured equipment.
Gotcha.
Yep. So probably less of this kind of stuff and real grass, like it's actually made into the hillside, like a tunnel's actually in the hillside. So it seems interesting, but yeah,
Right.
look around and figure out long-term feasibility and
Maintenance, yeah.
sustainability, yep, some maintenance.
That type of stuff.
So any first thoughts about this, or how to proceed forward, or?
So we need to find at least a few more proposals and.
Yeah, for sure. And I was sitting in the doctor's office yesterday and just emailed a bunch of people that were recommended to me by colleagues from grad school. And some got back to me right away, and I had a meeting with one from, I think it was MKSK. And he said, and they work with great parks. And he was telling me too about like a natural playground may not be the best, and you might want to consider RFPs, and I guess they can help with funding and all kinds of different things. But I literally just talked to him for like 10 minutes, so I'll let you know how that goes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is good to see, I think, as we understand the phases more, and we understand after we evaluate the surveys and understand more of what the community wants, which right now, when I look at the online survey, playground is number 3. So, you know, it's definitely, seems like there's a want for it. So this is a good starting point. And I'm sure when we get to the point of considering a playground, this will be very helpful.
Yes, too, like what kind of surface you would want. I don't know, it's just something to consider, especially.
Which one is what, do you know?
This is poured in place, and this is turf.
Okay.
And they both help prevent concussions. They both cost a similar amount. Rob said this was actually a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
Feel free to pass it around.
Well, they're basing this on the 6,300 square feet, and that would be quite an area.
Yep, that's pretty big.
Feels hot.
And turf is cooler, so it's like
Yeah.
30% cooler, I think you said.
I know the one little fella that stopped by while we were there made mention. Just, do you like running on the turf or the plastic and stuff? He said the stuff that feels like grass, so.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's the
what-
difference.
for what it works, there's input
Okay,
from a,
Good to know.
Yeah.
input
Yeah.
from a user.
Yeah.
Because the blue stuff is kind of like squishy, isn't
Oh,
it?
boy.
Like when you
Yeah.
walk on it, you kind of,
Yeah, it's squishy. I mean, they're both squishy, but this is definitely squishier.
oh. It's a little harder than what I was thinking.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised too. When you actually are on it, it feels squishier, but this is like much, much squishier.
Do we know which one holds up over,
I think Rob said about 10 years for both.
okay.
And this was just slightly less expensive. So and it's just something to consider because everything goes on top of it.
Right.
I think either option is better than alternatives like
Mulch
lawn
tires.
or mulch.
Yeah, mulch tires or whatever they use.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I have the mulch tire mulch or whatever myself at home, and it helps, but it still
Yeah.
gets into everything.
It's hot.
Yeah, it's definitely hot. Okay, so I guess our next steps for everything. Well, in July, a playground specialist will be meeting us here. Tina, who is at UC and specializes in developmental disabilities and autism, and I think she'll be a good resource. I'm trying to get someone from Butler County Board of Developmental Disabilities to come talk to, because supposedly they can help with some funding and ideas. And if anybody has any other ideas for anything trail-related, playground, maybe we can get somebody else, and we'll just kind of sit back and just educate ourselves, and whoever else listens to these meetings too, about where we're going and where we'd like to go. And that's something else that just happened. Rob Tebby put me in touch with Tina, so she wants to come here. It's another one of those things where I didn't ask. She just volunteered, and I guess she lives in Hamilton, so she's excited to come talk about it.
That sounds
So that
good.
would be July
Okay.
meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess there's a way to post that on the township webpage, that we're having some speakers in for those families that are interested in.
Yeah.
If you give it to me, I'll put it on Facebook. You're gonna get more Facebook than the website. I'm just telling you, it's nothing against the
Okay.
website, but
It's fine.
I'll
I just don't do Facebook, that's all. That's
Yeah,
wherever that we can get the word out the best is,
Because there's over 2,000 and growing followers. And I know that website doesn't get 2,000 hits,
Okay.
but I can have it put on both. It's not a big deal. If you
Okay.
write it up, I'll get it
Okay.
put on both.
Yep. I can totally write something up.
Yeah, who, what, when, and where. I mean, I know the dates, but just who's coming and what it's about.
Yep. And I forgot to email Butler County, so I will email them. Okay.
So I guess in everybody's mind, big picture, what do we see? We're talking about the July meeting. What do we see as other next steps? How long do we keep the survey going? Do we need to maybe do the survey at another event or not? There are some other events coming up later this year. There is the chicken dinner at St. Al's in August. And then the open house at the firehouse, that's September.
That's September.
Yep.
I thought we discussed that's when we were gonna do the next one was in September, cause that's right here, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
The firehouse.
Yeah, so that might be a kind of a good idea to have the booth so that we could kind of, you know, hey, this ground behind us here,
Yeah.
Yeah.
this is what,
Yeah.
So did we talk about that as collecting more information, or did we talk about that as we would have the survey information kind of
Could you-
looked over, disseminated by then?
You
and
talked
then
about that
sharing
as sharing,
Okay.
is
All
what
right.
we talked about in September.
All
And
right.
there had been some discussion about St. Al's being your second place to get some input.
Yeah.
At some point, you have to
Yeah.
make it, you know, inertia says we gotta keep moving forward. But you have to get input, and I think if you give 2 places of input plus a survey, I think you've done your due diligence, in my opinion, of getting input what the community wants, because there's been multiple venues to give input. And, you know,
Does the board feel that way? Does everybody else feel that way?
Yeah, I think by September, we should probably have, at least be able to say like, this is our vision.
Yeah.
You know, we've collected information, this is our vision. We have, you know, 1, 2, 5, 35 phases that we want to do this in, and here's where they are, and, you know, hopefully, you know, if somebody says like, I think that that's a terrible idea because, you know, there's not a landing strip for my airplane, you know, like, we're like, okay, well, you know, we'll take that into consideration, but sorry.
Are you thinking present that at the open house here?
Yeah, I think by that time we should, I mean, that's what, 4 months from now, 3, 4 months, something like that. I
you
mean,
got 3.
Yeah.
Let me do my UC math.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure that everybody feels like, you know, that's
Mhm.
what we want to do. Okay. That sounds good to me too. I just make sure everybody else is on board.
So I have to call St. Al's and get a spot. Should be okay.
Say again.
I have to call St. Al's and get a spot so we can,
Well, do we want to do St. Al's?
I don't know.
Or there's someplace else you want to do, that's your, you know.
Yeah.
You're going to get a lot of people at St. Al's that are not from Morgan Township.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
Well, that's what, yeah. So
I mean, I
is
think
it
a lot
worth-
more than we got in Shandon.
yes.
People come from all over
Yeah,
to go to St. Al's Chicken Dinner.
yeah.
So you might, you know, that might not be the best use of our time, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's
We might be
whatever.
better here at the open house. I mean, have some preliminary,
Mm-hmm.
this is what we've gotten so far, because these people be from Morgan Township more than
Well,
likely.
I'm just gonna tell you, the open house, you get a lot that aren't from Morgan Township, trust me.
But you're gonna
You
get a lot.
do, but you
You-
get
you
a
get-
lot that are.
Yeah.
You do get a lot, but I will tell you, when the bikes and all that happen, they're not from Morgan Township, because I've delivered them and I know what the addresses are. And so, that's just my thought. I mean, you do get a lot, but, I mean, you get a lot from Ross Township, you get a lot from all over. Hamilton, you'd be surprised where they come from, everybody comes from.
I think it makes more sense to have it here rather than St. Al's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be my vote.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think the thought is to do the dissemination of information at the firehouse, open house, but I just wanted to gauge from the group.
Yeah, do we need
Does
an input
anybody feel
session,
like
basically?
we need another, you know, meet and greet session like we did at the Strawberry Festival? And what I'm getting back is it's not needed, or the chicken dinner is not the right place. So
No.
I just want to make sure
Yeah,
that
I think that's
if
probably-
anybody felt strongly about that, that they had a chance to say, hey, I think we should. It sounds like.
When
sounds
is
like
that
we all
in
feel-
September?
It's not till 17th.
Oh,
Okay.
and then maybe make that be the cutoff for taking opinions and,
Yeah.
I
That
think we
makes
need to do
sense.
it before then.
Before then.
In order to, yeah, so if we're not going to be doing the chicken dinner and we're going to be disseminating information, sharing the information that we've learned with the community in September at the open house, I feel like we need to have an earlier cutoff for the survey to be able to process the information and share it amongst ourselves, maybe even so maybe even by, if we're not doing the chicken dinner, maybe even so that we could share that at the August meeting.
Okay, so cut
And
off.
talk about it. We could all have a discussion about it at the August meeting. So that way we all have a chance to process it before the open house. When is, the open house is the 17th?
Yes, 17th.
Okay, so we would have our monthly meeting before then, probably.
You should. Hold on, let me check
Should
my
have.
calendar.
It's
Yeah,
the second
13th.
Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah,
13th.
you will.
Yeah, 13.
Okay. Yeah, so we can have that discussion about what we've learned either at the September meeting or the August meeting. I just feel like the earlier we do it, probably the better.
Maybe cut it off
yeah.
like right before that August meeting,
Yeah.
like a week or two
Like
before. or something.
July 31st or July
Sounds fine,
15th?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
I'll
July-
put in the notes you're gonna cut off the serve, we'll leave it up until July 31.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
that makes sense, the end of the month, July 31st, yeah.
And
Okay,
that's a
I'll have
Sunday,
it,
too,
I'll have it,
so that
he can
works.
set that to turn off.
Is there a
then.
way to send out kind of like something special on Facebook? Is this your last,
Yeah,
reminder,
yeah,
last
yeah.
call for
I can do that,
your opinions, voice your, that, anything like that?
can do it.
And then after we disseminate information, maybe we do like another survey to get input on the phases and more specific input. Or it could be like a public information session here or somewhere else just to get more information about like what.
Would that happen after the open house in September? Like, so we could, share the information that we've learned from the survey at the open house and, and then maybe get even more feedback about, I don't know, I'm just asking.
Yeah, it'd be much more specific instead of just overview of questions. It'd be like, hey, like what's your main thing that you would want? It's like, would you want a trail or playground or
Yeah,
just to help finalize phases.
okay.
And of course, whoever we work with for engineering or architecture,
Right.
they'll help with all of that too and
Okay.
do feasibility studies and stuff. Hopefully we'll have more of an idea of who we might work with by then.
Yeah. Very good.
I think if we're talking about having like a public open house here like they did for the land use committee, I don't think there's much point in doing that until after the open house because
Yeah.
For
the
sure.
summer,
Yeah.
everybody's on vacation and kids are in sports.
Yeah.
And then they got to get back into school and get back in their groove. I think our attendance would be better if we shot for late September or October.
For sure.
I mean, I think our meeting in September would be to finalize, just like we're all on the same page about the phases, to present the plan a few days later of this is what we have planned, these are our phases, and then the October meeting would probably be like the actual public input session, not necessarily the open house. I mean, it's a little organic and
Sounds good.
yeah. I don't know. Personally, I think by that September, we should have not a final plan, but a first draft of like a walking trail where we would hypothetically put a playground, where we would, just kind of have an idea of like more concrete than just the hand-drawn map and some stuff like that, so that we can say like, we're moving forward, show that we're making progress, and then actually making progress, and then giving people a little bit more of a concrete idea, and they can really get an idea of trail length and amenities, how many shelters we might have, potential for other amenities beyond that. But I don't know, I feel like September should be a kind of a hard deadline for some kind of movement towards that.
For sure, and hopefully we'll know if working with Miami's even
Yeah.
feasible or any of that too, because they would be awesome to have them, just to have that experience, plus and a local experience too for Miami, and also have a firm in mind too to help do all the stamp drawings and
Right.
all of that part of it.
I mean, is it possible to send out for bid to firms for the engineering and planning at this point?
That's what the RFPs were.
Okay.
we could still totally still do something like that too, if we wanted to. And I was told, I guess it goes through a database, so it's not necessarily all just here, but I guess some firms will help you with the RFPs and,
But we still have to have a plan before.
Yeah, you
we-
gotta-
Right, you gotta have a
Yeah,
plan
Yeah.
before you can
yeah,
Otherwise.
put it out for bid.
They're not gonna know what we're bidding
yeah,
on. Right, I mean, I was able to get just the rough estimate for the paved trail and stuff, but that was just, how many square feet we got.
yeah,
That type of thing, and what the widths were and stuff, and what the average cost was of everything then, but,
yeah.
I mean, we have to have some type of a plan, some type of a preliminary plan to even send out.
Yep, I agree. I'm just going by what people were telling me.
Right. I mean, and that's what you're thinking a Miami student could possibly draw up? 'Cause
Yeah,
I don't
I
think
mean,
that plan has to be stamped. Only
Yeah.
be moving forward if that's what we're gonna actually do and.
yeah, for the actual construction, it
Yes.
needs to be stamped. Yeah, that's what I was hoping for. And if we likely need some kind of a park master plan, so you have your overview of your phasing and everything. So that's something else that Miami could help with instead of a firm doing that for us.
And Miami goes back to school in what, August or September?
In
August.
August, and I think everything gets finalized late July, early August. So I will be getting in touch again sometime in July.
Okay.
And hoping that something works out. Yeah, I'll just keep after it.
Because the representative that night from Metro Park said that we had to have a stamp plan before we could put it out for bid,
Yeah.
which is, what Amy and I have been saying,
Yes.
contrary to what some other people I know have been telling
Yeah.
you.
I know.
Do we need to send out for bid for engineering as well?
Well, you have to decide, so I'll try to sum this up. So you guys, there needs to be a plan, A, B, C, D, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, in my mind, and tell me if I'm wrong, then somebody's gotta draw up a grand plan to present. And then, in my mind, you take it to, you put out for RFP, and whoever does it would do a stamp plan. Am I on
Yes.
the right path? That's how I think, from my previous work here with RFPs, and I've done 2 here for this township, that's how it's worked.
Okay.
Because I had to find the scope of the plan. So the
Correct.
scope of the plan would be your drawings of whether you get a Miami student to do it, or if Miami says, nah, we're not doing it, then we gotta find somebody to do it.
Yeah.
And they take your thoughts, dreams, and everybody's dreams, and we put it on paper, and everybody agrees, and then, isn't that how it works? I
We
think that's how.
actually have a number for a preliminary plan to
Yeah.
do in phases. I think I gave you that number.
Was that
Yeah.
$4,500?
Yeah, but if we're only doing the first phase, then
Right.
it would be prorated to that amount.
Yeah. So we could just.
If somebody could just kind of do a rough sketch, we
Yeah.
could take that and give that to an engineer, and then they can take it and put it on what
They-
it's supposed to be. And
They
go
could
from-
spec the paving,
Yes.
figure out the distance, subcompaction, all that stuff that. I don't know anything about paving, but. Okay.
I think first you gotta get a plan.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, we
There
can't,
has to be
we
some
can't send
agreement that-
anything out till we have a
Yeah,
plan.
there has to be some agreement that's 4 phases, 5 phases, 2 phases, whatever.
Yep.
But we could have one plan and then just
Right.
keep adding the phases to that plan.
Yep.
Yep.
We need to decide, again, we're doing a walking trail, we're doing the nature trail, we're doing
Yep.
playground first. We could show it all on there, but
Yep. And it seems like the top thing
some,
is the trail.
some of the phases will be more in detail than the others.
Yeah. Yep, sounds like we all have a overall understanding of what we need then. Start with a sketch and then take it back to the engineer and get it stamped.
It's just like you're building a house. This is my dream
Yeah.
house. You draw the
Right,
sketch.
exactly.
Then you take it to somebody said, make my dream house a reality, and they
Take it
say,
to your
this is it.
architect, he'll
And
draw
then
it up
the
for you.
architect takes it to the engineer and the building, and then it goes. But you start with a piece of paper and a blank, and that sounds like what we're doing. It's just, you gotta find out what your phases are.
I mean, even that one copy we had that we were showing down there, we could kind of start with that as a rough sketch and then take that and, take that to have them start from there and draw
Yep,
up and they
for
can
sure.
get all the specs and stuff.
Yep,
and
for
put 'em
sure.
on there.
The thing that threw me off a little bit about that was Matt kept saying how things needed to be updated or changed or weren't accurate, so say, I guess it was a pretty rough sketch to begin
Yeah.
with.
Right.
One of the comments in the survey, we're ready to move on to our next step. Just want to make sure for a table discussion that we weren't finished with.
Yeah, you're fine.
And we talked about it, but long-term care and maintenance of the facility. What's that?
Wouldn't
Whose purview would that fall into, do you think,
Morgan
Chief? Because
Township?
Yeah,
Hung on to the trustees.
as
It's
far,
a-
I mean, as far as
So
what
that-
that's going to require, I mean, that could be.
Well, and once again, we'll get back to what we're gonna build. So
Yeah.
if a walking trail of asphalt, then it's gonna fall on the trustees to make sure that gets crack sealed, and, I mean, it's gonna heave and thaw just like your road. You know, I run on California Road, that road's a year old, and it's already cracking to death, because it's just natural, and that's gonna have to be, crack sealed once a year, and they're gonna have to decide.
Right.
You know, you got a 3-man road, well, you got a 2-man road crew with some other temporary help, and, you know, you guys, if that's the first. Now, if it's a playground, then you got issues there. If it's an amphitheater, who's gonna empty the garbage, who's gonna paint it every year? I mean, those are all questions that I have to have them answer to you all, to themselves, actually, once the plan is done.
Right.
And-
So, I mean, even just a walking path, somebody's going to have to cut the grass every week. And I don't know.
Well, I mean, I use several, and some let the nature roll right to it. Like if you use whitewater, besides the horse part, they let it.
The whitewater, the trails up top are really nice,
Yeah.
because they don't really maintain them too much.
No, they
So
let
it's
them.
pretty natural,
They
and
leave
it really,
it
it's
natural.
really nice.
They leave it natural, and I went and ran somewhere else. Now Oxford manicures theirs to death, because that's just how they roll. But they have to decide if this is going to be a natural setting or not, and what that's going to take to cut. And some cut one swath on all of them. It just depends on whose trail you're running on.
Yeah.
So those are questions that they're going to have to decide on how they're going to fund that once the plan is done. And if it's a walking trail, there's some maintenance to it. There's definitely, and the other questions you got to ask is, how is it going to close at night? What's its hours? I mean, there's a whole bunch of issues here, because,
Are we gonna put cameras up?
yeah,
I know there were big issues down at Heritage Park when it first opened. So, and they ended up having to put cameras down there.
So that is, that's their decisions, in my mind. It's not, you've been tasked with getting the vision and implementing it, and, once you build the house, you turn it over to the homeowner. It's the homeowner's responsibility to maintain the house. Well, in this, it's honestly the Board of Trustees. Now, as a taxpayer, we want to know that, because we're all taxpayers, right? How's that going to be done? I don't have that answer, and they've not articulated that answer to me, and I don't think if I went and asked them tomorrow, they would have that answer.
Right. I'm thinking
it's-
as we move forward,
Yeah.
some of the considerations are, if it's a walking trail and it needs crack sealed once a year, that's not a big deal for the road guys probably to do that. Take a day and do that. Grass cutting, I mean, if it's, one swath on both sides once a week, that's not a ton of maintenance throughout the year. But if we're getting into shelters that are getting rented out every weekend, somebody's got to clean those up, empty the trash. Now it starts to add up. And, what kind of commitment is there going to be on their part to give us the impetus to basically say, like, we want these amenities, but they require this amount of give back. And if it's just, well, we can have somebody cut the grass around the walking trail once a week, and that's a commitment, I mean, I think that's a serious consideration to what we're going to install or what we're going to ask for.
Well, you're also going to put trash cans out there. There's got to be emptied.
Yeah.
If you see, they just opened Salamander Park rather quietly. The park board did in Butler County, and it's natural, but they put a Rumpke handicap accessible toilet there, and they put 3 pieces of fencing around it. It looks real nice. They finally opened it. They didn't tell anybody. I just noticed it one day. It's open now. You can walk it. It's almost 3 miles. It's a pleasant walk back in the woods. But, that's still, they didn't open it right away because it takes, somebody's got to go empty the garbage. You got to pay
Right.
Rumpke to go empty the porta pot. And, they have to patrol it with their park rangers. So, I mean, it's all a consideration. But I've asked, and it's been asked to the Board of Trustees, and I've not gotten a solid answer back. And I can ask again, but I don't know that I'm gonna get some definitive answer at this point.
And even with the trail, I know it's not a lot of upkeep, but like Chief Griffith said, there are only 2 full-time road crew guys. And they are responsible for all of the mowing of the roads and the cemeteries and around here. And, you know, and yes, they have 2 temporary help for the summer, but, you know, they have limited hours that, you know, that they can do things too. So I'm not sure that it's feasible to say, well, yeah, they can take an hour and you know, whatever. Some weeks that might work out wonderful.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Is there,
Yeah.
do they need to bring on somebody else just to do the weekly cut
Okay,
of grass?
yeah, and if they do, where's
Yeah.
that money gonna come from?
Exactly.
Because township doesn't have unlimited funds, so. And that's, I mean, I know several of us have been asking that question repeatedly. Who's gonna do the maintenance and the upkeep? And we never get a solid answer.
And I'm not getting any different answer.
I know you're not.
I'm not, and
I'm
I've asked
not.
it, so
Can I just ask, what does the opening of Salamander Run, if they've got a walking trail, how does that impact spending all the money to put one here?
well, it's not paved.
It's not,
No,
okay,
it's
just natural.
it's all natural.
Okay.
Where's
And
that at?
so it's right across from, it's on Lehigh, right across from the Lehigh Estates there.
The mobile home park.
Mobile home park.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's open now.
That's 3 miles.
If you go back in the woods, 2.7. If you run all of it, or in most people's case, walk, because most people don't run on
Right.
that because you can, unless you're a cross-country runner, it's a little different. But it's beautiful. But the problem is once again, you get back in those woods, it rains, it gets a little muddy. So it's not of sure footing that, you know, people are going to run it like me. But people are back there walking, and people are starting to find out it's open. And it's a nice piece of property, and like that property was donated.
And then that's through Metro Parks also?
Metro Parks owns it. It's called Salamander Run. It's got a little parking area, 1 Rumpke porta pot, and it's got a gate to close and open it. So they close everything at dusk and dawn. So, and they've cut some trails and maintained them back through there.
I know some grants might help with some maintenance, but it's probably something to discuss too, long-term. I think Land and Water Conservation Fund covered some maintenance. Yeah, it's definitely a very good question, long-term, like, yeah, how will this be maintained? But we'll get there. I feel like after we get more of a plan and phasing, and the trustees will have more answers, hopefully.
Yeah, I think they need to see what is the plan and what the phases are, and then it'll be incumbent on them to decide how they're going to maintain it.
Yep.
It's a good question as a taxpayer. I'd like to know too. Everybody would, we all, you know, but.
Yep. Have anything else to discuss?
I don't.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything else they want to talk about, discuss? Okay.
Okay.
So just to make sure I'm on the right track, I'm going to close the survey on July 31st.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
And then I'm going to push out before July 31st, a couple times I'll do it, that we have, that we're closing on July 31st.
Right.
And then you're going to give me something to put on the website and Facebook as far as who's coming in July to the July 12th meeting,
Yep.
for anybody who's interested.
Yep.
And the goal is, so I can report to the trustees, on the 17th, you'll be presenting to the public kind of the grand plan? Is that accurate?
Yep.
Okay.
So,
All right.
okay.
I have my orders.
Okay. So a motion to end the meeting.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.